We're also coming up to the new year. And raise your hand if you've ever had a New Year's resolution that you weren't able to follow through with. When it comes to applying resolutions or goals, whatever the case might be, the first step in picking a goal that we can actually practice is being clear on it. The main thing when we talk about clarity is being specific. So I'll give you an example. The person who says on January 1st, the person who says, I'd like to get healthier. The person doesn't really get healthy. The person who does get healthy is the person who says, I'm going to lose 10 pounds of body fat. I'm going to gain 5 pounds of muscle. I'm going to exercise 1 hour every day. Those who pick specific goals are the ones that are actually able to follow those goals. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to break them into the most fundamental, qualifiable, verifiable practices to hit your goals. And the number one thing that we want to look at when it comes to picking a goal is making sure that we have specific ideas in mind. Again, the person says, I want to be healthy, or I want to feel better, or I want to not feel so bad, or whatever the case may be. What does that even mean? No one knows. You don't know. I don't know either. No one knows what that means. What we want to do is pick specific goals that if you were to go to the street and find some random person and say, do you know what this means? They will say yes. And what they explain will be practically exactly what you're talking about. Does that make sense? When I talk about specificity, so we're going to get into a really specific idea of what exactly you want to get, so that we can break it down into different behaviors to get there. You're going to notice certain challenges that are going to come up for you. Like number one, you're going to have an inner critic that's going to tell you that you can't have that. You're going to hear other people's voices in your head that you've heard either in person or on the television or on the radio, whatever the case might be. They say, no, you can't have that. You shouldn't want that. That's not practical. No one gets there. You guys heard these before? Yeah. Everyone go like this. Nope. We're not going to pay any attention to those thoughts. There's a couple different voices in your head. You have the voice that you hear. You have your voice, which only tells you what you want. You have divine voice, God's voice from within, which tells you which direction to go. And you have others' voices, which tell you what to fear. We're not going to go so much. We have other seminars where we teach the different voices and whatnot, how to listen to them. But in basic, don't listen to others' voices, except for the few chosen voices that you actually know will benefit you to listen to. But pick goals that would put those voices to shame. I want you to pick a goal that's so close to what you actually want that all the voices that you can't get it, you shouldn't want that, whatever the case might be, get put to shame. So don't entertain the voices of the inner critic. Also, I want you to pick goals that are outside of your comfort zone, because that's what growth means. If we're picking goals, say that you're like, you're like, yeah, no problem, I can do that. So we're going to get into goals that are seemingly out of reach. That's something that you really want, deeply, seriously want, but seem like, wow, how will I achieve that? Okay. You are going to notice other particular challenges come up, like your core wounds and fears. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, but we can also give you guys other resources that we teach, in online resources, teach you guys how to identify your core fears, core wounds, core motivations. But you're going to notice them coming up in terms of, I can't get that because that's too scary, or I can't get that because that's going to challenge me in blank way. Each and every one of you have a different conditioning. And remember, one conditioning is not better than another conditioning, but everyone has different conditioning. And so that means everyone has different fears and motivations and different core wounds. So you might notice if a fear comes up in terms of, oh, if I hit this goal, all of these other challenges are going to happen. I want you to just set those fears aside for the sake of today's exercise as well. There's other ways for you to manage that, and we'll talk about that more towards the end of today's class in terms of how to bring this into other goals that you set. But don't entertain the fears for the sake of this exercise. Otherwise, you're never going to achieve it. We have to be able to start to practice separating the fears from our desires. Otherwise, it's like a desire. No, I can't do it. It's too scary. Desire. No, I can't do it. And we create a type of pairing in the mind for that. We need to start to create new neural pathways to separate our desires and our fears. So the first step in creating a goal, again, is clarity. Most reason people don't achieve their goals is because they're not clear on what that actually is. Again, just for the sake of giving the examples we gave before, when I say I want to be healthy, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. Because if you ask 1,000 different people what health means to them, you're going to get about 1,000 different answers. The first step is finding clarity in terms of what it is that you want. So when we get into this practice here in a minute, I'm going to always encourage you to get really specific and really clear. And again, clear in such a way as if you brought it to the street and showed someone, they'd be like, I know what you're talking about. And we're going to give you specific tools and tricks and knowledge of how to start to move in that direction, and frankly, how to become friends with the mind. Because as taught in the Bhagavad Gita, the mind can be the best friend or it can become the enemy. Anyone here ever have the mind be the enemy at times? Hello, that's me too. That's right. That's just what it means to be in the human condition. No problem, because you've all also raised your hand if the mind has been your best friend at times. You're like, well, thanks, mind. You really saved me. That's right. We just want to do that a little bit more often now and find practical ways to apply that. I like to always share two different experiences, because the information I'm sharing with you guys today is stuff we share with hundreds and hundreds of people that not only have I been able to use to help transform my life, but these are principles of the universe. These aren't things that I personally thunk up with my tiny little brain, but these are things that people have been using for hundreds of thousands of years at least, and have been writing down for at least hundreds and thousands of years. And so when it comes to gaining these practices, I just like to share that there is no wrong place to start. So don't feel discouraged from wherever you're at. Wherever you're at is the perfect place to be. Don't try to be anywhere else, because you're not going to be able to get, if you have the wrong starting point, like on your GPS on the phone, if you have the wrong starting location, the map that comes up is not going to be of any use to you. So be really honest with yourself. Be really accepting of where you're at. And let's pick stuff that's going to be revolutionary and life-changing.